Chapter 7. Driving in her Camry, Annika bounced along the bridge over the lake. The water sloshed and dipped continuously. With sunset having arrived, the whitecaps looked more black than white. She shuddered. Why had Celia picked such a random and secluded location for their meeting? Something was wrong. Celia must have wanted to be somewhere Patrick wouldn't find her. Whatever it was, something in her gut told Annika to bring backup along. So her loyal Cameron followed her now in his Mustang. She rolled the kinks out of her neck, trying to calm down. Yet every time her mind yo-yoed back to Celia and the bruises, Annika felt her blood begin to boil. Patrick was such a coward, a bully manipulating the naive. Annika slowed the car to a stop. The boathouse was on her right. Celia's Volkswagen was parked out front, the toy doggie's head wobbling on the dash. Annika craned her neck, but couldn't see Celia. I guess she's waiting down by the boathouse. Killing the engine, Annika grabbed her purse and stood. Pulling up alongside the curb, Cameron rolled down the window. If I don't text you in 10 minutes, she said, come check on me. Whoa, what are you talking about? I'm coming with you. In one smooth motion, he exited and shut the door. She bit back a sigh. Cam, I already told you, I need to talk to her alone. Had he forgotten she told him that? Or was he just being stubborn and protective? You told me this Patrick is bad news. What if he followed her here? What if... I know. But if she sees you or your car, she'll probably panic and clam up. Annika locked gazes with him. Look, if this meeting goes well, I think I'll have enough for the police to arrest Patrick for abuse. I have a tape recorder on me, I have my gun, but I need to do this alone. None of this is worth risking your life. I'm not saying this is dangerous, only that it could be. But intimidation is not the key. I won't get anywhere if there's someone else with me. Annika, he began, I really need this, honey, please. Just give me 10 minutes. She waited a moment, letting the words sink in and anchor him. Trust me. Cameron sighed, hands on her shoulders. And then slowly, he walked backwards to his car. 5 minutes. She smiled. Thank you. Annika watched him get in and drive away. He turned into a subdivision around the corner. He was close. Taking one more look inside Celia's car, Annika then headed down the bridge that led to the boathouse. Please let this go well, Lord. Please help her be honest. Blowing out a breath, blowing out the nerves, Annika kept walking, boards creaking with every step. Celia? I'm here. Where are you? She looked all around, zipping her jacket as the wind whipped around her. What was going on? Where was Celia? The only thing to receive and welcome her was a green and white boat, the boathouse itself with 2 small closets that probably held fishing equipment, a few lawn chairs, a metal table, and the choppy lake. Something slammed on the back of her head. With a yelp, Annika's legs gave out, and now she lay face first on the unforgiving deck. Moaning, she shifted, but she felt pain in her head, too much pain that made it hard to do anything, and then her pain somehow morphed into fog. Strong arms lifted her, carrying her. Where? For help? Could it be Cameron already? How much time had passed? Moments or minutes, she couldn't tell. She dragged her eyes open. Everything was blurry. But that blur wasn't Cameron. A stranger had hit her. A stranger was carrying her, somewhere she didn't want to go. Annika needed to fight. She needed to escape. But then the person dropped her. Into water. 1,000 needles pierced her, the lake encaging her. The cold, the shock seemed to wake her senses a bit, and she twisted and turned, desperately trying to find the service through the abyss, trying to avoid drinking in the lake. Please, God, help me! Annika thrashed all the more, despite the throbbing in her head, despite the numbness that told her to let go, to give up, to sleep. Cold air slapped her face as she finally rose to the surface. She coughed and gagged out a gallon of water and a few ragged breaths. Arms, legs, entire body begging for release, Annika turned and saw the shape, the silhouette of the boathouse, saw the wooden dock. She was only a few feet away, bobbing in the black lake. Fight, Annika, fight. Swim. Somehow, arm over arm, pushing the water away, she made it, and now held onto a leg of the dock. Her lungs twisted with every shuddering breath. The cold stabbed at her bones. Craning her neck, she lifted her voice. Cameron! Celia! Anybody help me! No one showed. No one came for her. The haze was returning, and the swim, the fight for her life, had robbed her of strength. She couldn't risk trying to swim to shore. What if she passed out? She felt she was teetering on the edge of consciousness right now. Stay awake, stay awake. Stretching, she raised her arm, reaching for the decking. She strained and struggled until her arm burned, until it was on fire. It was only 2, maybe 3 feet out of her reach. Gasping out labored breaths, she wrapped her arms tighter around the dock, whispering earnest prayers while the questions bombarded her. Who had hit her? When would Cameron come? How long could she hold on? Sighing, Cameron entered Cup of Kindness. What was happening to him? How had he arrived in a Willis subdivision, and why? He had tried calling Annika, but had only gotten her voicemail. Now he tried the coffee shop, hoping to find her, hoping for answers, hoping she wouldn't be fuming when he walked in. One thing he did remember was Annika had said they would be doing inventory at Cup of Kindness this week. So where was she? Crystal approached him. Hey, Cam, back so soon? Cameron's eyebrows furrowed. What? Jake dried his hands with a towel. Well, now that y'all are back, you and Annika can help us finish doing inventory. How'd the investigation go? Investigation? Celia. Boathouse. Annika. Cameron gasped, his gut wrenched. Oh no, Annika! He took off for the exit. Crystal ran after him. Whoa, what's wrong? Cameron couldn't string 2 coherent words together, his mind racing. Just no time to explain. Jake, come with me, please. He dashed out the door, not waiting for a response. Within a moment, though, Jake was beside him, strapping himself in. Only when Cameron threw the car in gear did Jake speak. What's going on? What happened to Annika? I left her at a boathouse in Willis. If I didn't hear from her within 5 minutes, I was supposed to check on her, but I completely forgot. Jake patted his shoulder, though his voice shook. Don't worry, I'm sure she's fine. Try calling her. See if she picks up. Jake did. After a minute, he lowered the phone. No answer. I just got her voicemail. Reminding himself to keep breathing, Cameron flexed his fingers on the wheel, speeding all the way to her location. What if Patrick had followed Celia? What if she and Annika were in danger or were injured because of Cameron's forgetfulness? God, please help me find her. Whatever is going on, protect them both. Annika shook her head, trying to clear it and get water out of her ears. Please, Lord, please, send someone. 5 minutes was beginning to feel like an eternity. Where was Cameron? Her neck began to cramp, looking up in vain for anyone. Father, please help me. Please send someone. Thoughts of her parents came to her now, and she closed her eyes. To live is Christ, to die is gain. But if it's my time, please don't let it hurt too bad. Take me home in your arms. She continued to pray, continued to hang on. Annika? A fear-stricken voice. It sounded faint, but that may have been due to her injury. Annika, where are you? Cameron? Another voice, another male, joined in. Annika? Feet bounded over the wooden planks. Relief and a new sense of urgency washed over her. Cameron! She shouted as loud as she could. I'm here! Her shouts turned into throat-ripping screams. I'm here! Cameron and Jake appeared above her on the deck, wide-eyed. Oh my goodness, hang on! Without another thought, Cameron jumped into the water right next to her, and she clung to him. Annika, it's okay, it's okay. Jake dropped a life preserver for them, and then held out a hand. Annika, climb up, I've got you. I can't, she gasped out. Hold on, I'm gonna go under, Cameron said. Stand on my shoulders, okay? When she nodded, Cameron submerged. He swam underneath her, held onto her ankles to steady her, and then rose to the surface. With Jake holding her hands and pulling, she reached the deck. Drained, Annika lowered to her hands and knees, unable to grasp how comforting it was to touch solid ground again. Jake took off his jacket, covered her with it, and then helped Cameron up. In a moment, Cameron was kneeling beside her, wrapping her up in his wet, dripping, but strong and loving arms. Annika, he breathed. I'm so sorry. He pulled back, framing her face with his hands. Are you all right? She could hardly catch a breath. She was shivering so violently. Think so. Where's Celia? He asked, remembering she should be there. Her car's gone. I don't know. I never saw her. Keeping a hand on each of them, Jake asked Cameron, Should we call for an ambulance? Cameron shook his head. For now, we only need to get her inside, get her warm. Maybe we can take her to Crystal's. Got it. Pulling out his phone from his hip pocket, Jake grabbed Annika's discarded purse. I'm going to start the car and get the heater going. When Annika whimpered and began to shake harder, Cameron held her closer to his chest, gently rocking her. Shh. It's all right. I've got you. You're safe. He pressed a trembling kiss to her hair. Oh, Annika, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Exhaustion setting in, Annika succumbed to the oblivion and let her eyes drift closed. Let herself go limp as Cameron picked her up and carried her to the car, allowing his inner warmth to consume the bitter cold. Cleaned up and dry, Annika relaxed on Crystal's couch in the living room. Jake had gone home, but not before asking if there was anything else he could do. Annika could only think of one thing. Steve. Her cat would be missing her. She wasn't sure how long she would be staying at Crystal's, so better safe than sorry. Now Steve lay by her feet, sleeping away and keeping her warm. Not a care in the world. Cameron, on the other hand, seemed to be loaded down with an even heavier burden after tonight's events. Once he had changed clothes and grabbed his medical bag, Cameron had returned to give her a quick checkup. But she could sense the strain in his movements, see the guilt in his gaze. He pulled the strap off her arm. Your blood pressure and temperature are normal, but there's a pretty big bump on your head. I want you to ice it every 3 hours during the day. The swelling should go down soon. Just take it easy. Don't worry, Crystal said, handing Annika a cup of hot tea. I'll take good care of her. Annika's smile included them both. Thanks, guys. Crystal sat cross-legged on the rug. So, what exactly happened tonight? Cameron's face flushed. Crystal continued. Does it have something to do with the case y'all are working on? Annika sat up a little straighter. We think so. We still don't have any solid evidence, but we're pretty sure Celia and her boyfriend Patrick are responsible for what happened to Timothy. Whoa, the hit and run? She clarified. Yes. So I'm assuming Patrick hit me over the head to silence me. I just felt a whack, and then next thing I knew, I'm in the water. Oh my goodness, thank the Lord you're okay, Crystal exclaimed. If you had fully passed out, you would have drowned. Yeah. Annika bit her lip, catching Cameron's pained expression. She cleared her throat. Anyway, I called Detective Harrison, and he's sending guys to check out the boathouse for fingerprints or anything. He already confirmed Patrick's car had been in for repairs the day after the hit and run, so they're going to question him tonight. Crystal stared at her. What kind of psycho plows into someone with their car, doesn't report it or anything, then tries to kill you, a complete stranger? That's insane. You need to lock him up. Forever. Annika nodded, and then risked a glance in Cameron's direction again. He stared at the floor, quiet, tense, and racked with guilt. They needed to talk. Alone. Annika set her cup on the edge table. Chris, could you give us a minute? She asked. Yeah, of course. Picking up on the tension, she rose and gave each of them a quick hug. I'll say good night then. It's getting late. Night, she and Cameron echoed. Crystal disappeared into her room, clicking the door shut. In the quiet, Annika sat there with Cameron. Letting out a slow breath, he knelt beside the couch. When he did speak, she could barely hear him. Annika, I am so sorry. He cradled her hand in his and kissed it. I don't even know what to say. 100 questions flooded her mind, but she only released one, as gently as possible. Cameron, what happened to you tonight? He sighed, covering his distraught face with his free hand. I don't know. 1 minute I was there waiting for you. The next I didn't know what I was doing there. I went to the coffee shop to try to get some answers to talk to you. She blinked. What? She whispered. Was he serious? This sounded like Alzheimer's, but he was far too young to get that. Right? If it hadn't been for Jake and Crystal reminding me. He shook his head, eyes brimming with tears. Cam. She wrapped her arms around his neck. I'm sorry, he said over and over. I'm so sorry. Shh, it's okay. okay." She stroked his damp hair, compassion stinging her heart, tears stinging her eyes. What could possibly be going on inside him to cause this? "How long has this been going on?" she asked. Cameron pulled back and brushed his sleeve across his eyes. Maybe a couple months, off and on. I just kept trying to wish it away. I thought I was overworked, overstressed, and in time, when things calmed down, it would right itself. He scoffed lightly. "And I always tell my patients, don't ignore it. If something's wrong, get it checked out." "It's hard to take our own advice sometimes," she admitted. "Do you know any doctors who could help you?" He tapped his fingers, thinking. "I guess I should call Dr. Robinson. He's the only neurospecialist I know. I'll set up an appointment tomorrow." "Okay." She patted his hand. "We'll figure this out. Maybe we could ask the elders at church to anoint you this weekend, too. That's an even better idea." Cameron glanced down at their intertwined fingers and then asked, "Annika, would you pray for me?" "Yeah, of course." Closing her eyes, Annika began, asking the Lord to bless Cameron with healing and guidance. She thanked him for saving her, for sending the guides to rescue her, and that she hadn't suffered any severe injuries. Then she thanked God for Cameron and everything he was for her. She asked for peace and comfort, that Cameron wouldn't give in to doubts or guilt, that he would remember who he belonged to. When she finished, Cameron embraced her again, tightly, warmly. "Thank you." "Don't worry, Cameron," she said. "You're going to be fine. God's got you." She held him close, trying to think of some more encouraging words. Only 3 more came to mind. "I love you." Sniffling, he kissed her cheek. "I love you too." My gun in my sweaty fingers, I breathe in through my nose and breathe out with my mouth. Celia's hiding in the corner across from me in Patrick's huge house. "Annika," she whimpers. Her contagious anxiety squeezes my chest, and I wince. "Celia, just stay calm," I rasp. The door hinge squeaks. I hold my breath until it hurts. His shadow on the wall and the shape of a gun in his grip moves farther into the study. I shrink back into the shadows as he passes me. Rising, I aim my 9mm at his legs and squeeze the trigger, waiting, cringing for the boom that will likely blow my eardrums. Nothing. My heart stops. My gun's jammed. I have nothing. No protection, nothing. Suddenly, he turns around. Picking up the nearest object, I fling it at his face. The book hits him between the eyes. Patrick cries out and fires. I gasp and duck, the bullet obliterating the lamp above me. We're out of here. Celia leaps over the ottoman, and together we take off down the hall, down the stairs, flinching and screaming as bullets fly. Fumbling with my keys, I bust through the front door and jump into my car. Celia's right there with me, buckling herself in. I peel out of his driveway and race down the road, down the bridge. But too soon, Patrick's pursuing us in his vehicle, gun still firing. I floor it, driving as fast, yet as carefully as I can. "Keep your head down!" I shout when a bullet shatters my side mirror. Patrick must have shot out my tire, because we're suddenly spinning out of control. More screaming, more spinning. Now we're smashing into the guardrail, flying off the bridge, my stomach lurching. Down below, an ocean is waiting for us, and it greets us with a bone-jarring crash. The windshield pops and cracks, 1,000 jagged lines writing out our eulogies. Similar crooked lines run down my arms, but they're red. As we sink into our grave, I struggle with my seatbelt. The car's flooding. I'm already neck deep. I'm going to die. We're going to die. I need Cameron. Where is he? "Celia, can you get out?" She slumped forward, unconscious, I think. I hope. "Celia?" I spit out a mouthful of liquid, water or blood, I don't know, or care at this point. "Wake up!" Annika opened her eyes, looked around. Crystal's apartment. She was on the couch in the living room, covered with a blanket, Steve by her side. Sitting up, she groaned, pain in her head telling her to lie back down. Rubbing her eyes, she rubbed away the nightmare. What had happened to Celia? Where was she? Did she know nothing of the boathouse attack and was home, sleeping soundly? Or... Phone buzzing on the couch, Annika and Steve jerked. Steve meowed in protest, then stood, his back arching. then settled back down on the blanket. Annika retrieved her phone and put it to her ear. Hello? Hey, kid, Detective Harrison said. I wanted to call and give you an update, let you know what was going on. She brushed her tangled hair back. Great, what have you got? Did you find Patrick? Yeah, we found him. He's dead.